welcome to episode 6 of Mads World. I'm your host Mads, and this week we're going to be discussing all things short dates. Now, to be clear, I'm not talking about your date showing up and surprising you as a 4'5" man. I'm talking about short time-wise. Whether that be due to lack of conversation, your date not being who they said they are, and a whole host of other reasons. So I've asked you guys to regale me with stories of your shortest ever dates, and I thought I'd read out my favourites before you hear my chat with the lovely Billy on some of our shortest dates ever. So here we go, first submission.
I got there to find him snogging someone else.
So for me, if I showed up and saw that, there's two options. Walk away or go up and confront them. I think not even worth your time.
She chose to wear sandals and her toes were that fucked they had different postcodes.
So we don't condone this kind of shallow thinking on Mads World, but I mean, toes can be quite a polarising thing for different people, so each to their own.
I arrived to my date's house so excited wearing shorts and shot my load over her right foot as I got in the door.
So this one I had to follow up and get some more information. I asked the guy, I was like, what happened next? He said she was very understanding and I'm just going to leave it there.
A guy used his younger brother's photos and was actually 10 years older.
So kudos to this guy. That's actually really clever. I mean, I would never have thought of doing that. I mean, I don't have a younger sister that's 10 years younger, but play on, player.
I went on a blind date with someone who told me she had 2 kids. She just kept scrolling through photos on the date and there were a minimum of at least 5 kids, all to different dads.
This one, I don't even know what this woman was thinking. How was she going to get away with this? I'm just imagining him sitting there as she scrolls through. He's like, that's a new kid. She's like, oh yeah, forgot about that one, sorry.
I went on a date with someone who didn't look anything like their photos, texted my friend and asked her to call me with an emergency. I answered on speakerphone and she goes, can he hear me?
Oh, at this point I would just run away.
The date lasted 15 to 20 minutes. I was disturbed by the way he sat.
So this one I had to follow up and find out what is disturbing about the way someone sits, but it's interesting to think about the different things that turn people off, isn't it? Now I'm like really worried about the way I sit. Maybe it turns people off. Oh.
Blind date, I turned up, realised we knew each other from a previous date and left.
So this has actually happened to me before when I matched with a guy on Tinder and he said, oh, fancy seeing you again. And I'm like, and he's like, don't you remember we went on a date in Shoreditch, we had a really nice time, got pretty drunk. Honestly, I went back through my phone, looked for this guy, I'm like, I have no idea who you are.
I matched with a guy on Tinder. He asked where I worked and I said Byron Burgers. He showed up at my work to say hi while I was a waitress smelling of burgers. It was an unsolicited date that lasted 30 seconds.
Oh, right. So those were my favourite submissions. Thank you very much everyone for submitting those. Up next, you'll hear my chat with Billy, my lovely friend from Derby, or Barbados as it's affectionately known. Hope you enjoy hearing about our shortest dates ever. Hello, Billy.
Hi Maddie, you alright?
I'm alright, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Oh, it's so nice to hear from you.
In lockdown again, 2.0.
Lockdown 2.0. Boris is paying the bills, isn't that right?
He is. I've already had a little bit of money off them already.
Oh, love that. Thanks, Boris. Well, for the people playing at home, let's do a little speed date round and get to know Billy. So, Billy, how did you and I first meet?
So, I'm actually from Derby, and my good friend Zaya, used to live in London with yourself, Maddie. And I came to visit and met you, and that's where we made friends. And the first time I met you, though, I just knew that.
Yes.
Like, we just got on so well. And
we just knew that we would get on. I love when you meet someone.
Yeah. Any friend of Zaya's is mine.
We had a little festival day out, didn't we? Which is nice. So, yeah, that was a really fun meeting story and we've been friends ever since. So how long have you been in a relationship? Because I know that you've told me today that you're recently in a new relationship.
Yes. So it's quite fresh. So probably like 2 or 3 weeks.
That is fresh.
And obviously we've gone back into lockdown.
Oh dear. And up north it's quite strict, isn't it? Are you living at home with and is he living at home?
Yeah. So I'm living at home with the fam. He's living at home with the fam. He's isolated at the moment, so not able to see each other. But
Oh dear. Hopefully soon. And then previously, before you were in your new relationship, how often would you say that you go on dates?
so I went through a little bit of a stage, like a bit of a serial dater.
Did you?
But yeah. I just don't really get nervous. I think it's probably because I'm like drunk most of the time.
Yeah.
On these dates.
Yeah, I feel you.
So, and it's just much easier now, like when you've got dating apps and things.
Isn't it? And it's the way in the UK, like you just kind of chat to someone on a dating app, go and get pissed, and then you forget the whole thing and do it again next week.
Yeah, if you wake up and you can't really remember, then it don't really count, does it?
It doesn't count, does it? So what would you say your usual type is?
So I would say a little bit more of a manly man. Not too much, but not too camp really. Nothing against that, but just not my vibe.
Not your cup of tea.
Not my cup of tea. But I don't know, like I think personality over looks, to be honest.
Really? I'm so glad you said that because I totally agree. I mean, they talk about, I don't know if you've heard about the triangle. So you can, in the triangle, the three corners, there's good looks, funny and good sense of humor, and then smart. And apparently you can only have two. So only like most people out there only have two of those things. So what would your two be?
I'd probably say like good personality and good looks. I don't know about the smart side.
Yeah, good looks and funny.
Yeah, we'll just go for that.
Yeah, love that. And then what's the best thing about being in a relationship now that you're in a new one?
Well, obviously it's quite fresh and I've not really been in one before, but I think it's just nice just being able to just like sort of share things together in like memories or just be able to chat to each other when you want.
Yeah, and what about having a snuggle?
Who does not love a snuggle? Little cuddle, little spoon.
I love the way you say that as well with your Derby accent. Little cuddle.
Little cuddle.
Love that. Okay, well, I've asked you to come on the show because we wanted to do this week's show about the shortest dates ever. And I know that you have a cracking short date story which you can tell us. So take it away.
Okay. So this probably happened like last year. I think I met this guy on Tinder or Instagram and we started chatting and then we arranged to go on a date. And it was like midweek and we arranged to go bowling and it was dark and I pulled up and then he got out his car and I just looked at him and just thought, you don't look like the pictures.
That is a classic.
Yeah, but I've got to do it. I've got to go through with it. Do you know what I mean? It's seeming now. I'm not gonna be a dick. So got out the car and then I just instantly knew. Do you know when you know?
Yeah, when you show up and you just get a vibe instantly. I had a date last Friday night and it was an in lockdown date, and I think we sort of both knew halfway through the date as we were walking around having a coffee. We were just like, oh, it's just friends, and then ended up getting a pizza at the end, and we were like, anyway, bye. I'll text you. No, neither of us have followed up. We just both like, nah, we know.
So yeah, was going bowling and the guy was like, oh, how many games would you like? And I instantly stepped in and was like, one game. I don't want two, I want one. I want to get out of here. Yeah, we just spoke about bowling the whole time. And I was throwing those balls down the alleyway like as quick as I could to try and get this game finished. I didn't even give a shit if I was going to get strikes, spares. I was like, I'll go down the barrier for like...
Just flinging them down the end like grenades. Like...
See ya.
See ya.
But also in my back of the head, I was like, oh, I'm actually doing quite good saying I'm not trying. But anyway, so game finished and I was like, oh, well, I'm gonna go now. Gonna go. Obviously I had time, but I just didn't want to stay. I think we're about 10 minutes into this date, by the way. This was quick. This was 10, 15 minutes.
So the date lasted 10 to 15 minutes. That is quite speedy.
Yeah, that's good. Well, like I said, them balls were going down that alleyway.
Flying balls.
Flying.
Normally flying balls on a date would be a great sign, but...
Not this time. Not this one.
Oh no. Well, so that's the shortest date. And how did you leave it? How did you say you were leaving?
Well, actually, like we walked out the place and he linked my arm and I was like, like, why are you grabbing me? Like, what are you doing? Like, we don't even know you. I was a bit taken back.
Yeah.
And we like sort of walked about a 1 minute walk to the car. And I was like, oh God, okay. And then I was like, see you then. He was like, well, don't I get a hug?
Oh, yuck.
Well, no, actually, no, I lied. He said, can I have a hug? And I was like, I felt like I was, like, do you know, like a celebrity, like, when they say, can I have a hug? And you're like, yeah.
Can I get a selfie?
And I like hugged, what do you mean you hug someone but you don't really touch them?
Ew, like a gross fan.
Yeah.
Oh, Billy.
Yes, you can have a hug. That's £2.
£2. That's a pisser. It reminds me of so I went on a date. I was working at my old job in Holborn, and I planned a date that day with a guy just next door at the pub next door to work. So I showed up to the date, and instantly I realized this guy, he's not got a lot to say. So, you know, on a first date, you're sort of thinking about things you can ask someone. So I'm sort of being like, oh, do you have any siblings? Yeah. Okay. Like, how many siblings do you have? One. Oh, that's interesting. Is it a brother or sister? Brother. I'm like, okay, great. It goes on like this. I'm getting the one-word answers, and I think we ordered one drink, and I was just kind of like, this is painful. It was like pulling teeth trying to get answers out of this guy. I don't know if he was shy or just dumb or just really boring. And then finally I said something like, oh, so have you been traveling? He's like, oh, went to Africa, I guess. I'm like, okay, great. I'm thinking I've struck gold here. This is going to be interesting. I'm like, what did you do there? He's like, I don't know, helped animals and stuff, I guess. I'm like, helped animals? That's pretty exciting. He goes, yeah, elephants always got in the way of me car, though. It was pretty fucking annoying, if I'm honest. I'm like, I was like, okay, here I am thinking I've struck gold finally, conversation point. He just wants to...
You could have gone, oh yeah, I have that problem in Australia, like the kangaroos.
All those big animals, we've got so much in common. And it ended up, he's like, oh, should we get another drink then? Like, I'm like, you know what? Have you seen the new episode of Game of Thrones? Because it was a Monday, I think, and it had just come out. And he's like, no, I haven't. Like, I'm like, you know what? We should go home separately and watch Game of Thrones and text about it. And he was like, oh, yeah, I guess, yeah, like, that sounds good. And we went home and just watched Game of Thrones and didn't even text him. I was like in and out of there in 15 minutes. It was hilarious.
You sound so believable as well, like, oh, I've got a really good idea. We should go home separately. Like I had.
So bad. And we're on the tube. He was getting off at his stop. He's like, oh, well, we should do this again. I'm like, yeah, just if I've got a quick 15 minutes between meetings, we can smash out another date. Yes. So I think we've had only a couple of questions come through from listeners this week. So what would make you instantly leave a date, Billy? What would be the first red flag when you're just like, see ya? I
think if I turned up and it wasn't the person I was supposed to meet, actually I probably wouldn't even know because I'd be like sat there waiting for them. Yeah. Or just someone that's so rude, like really rude, or really rude to the waitress, staff, or something like that. That would just make me cringe.
Yeah, definitely. Seriously, it's insane. And it is interesting that you can get along with someone in so many sense, but then you have such different fundamental values that you're just like, that is completely done a 180. I don't fancy you at all anymore.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Personality can totally change how you feel about someone.
Billy, you couldn't be more right. So what would you say is your best ever short date? Do you have a good experience in a short date?
Well, not the one I told you earlier. That one.
That sounded good. I was really happy to hear about that one.
That was really good. I actually won that game as well, my tie.
So that is actually a stunning date for you.
I don't know. Like, I think probably the best short date will probably be. It's not really a date, but do you know when you're in a nightclub and you get to chat to someone?
Yeah,
they're quite short sometimes. They can be like 5 minutes chatting. And
have a little make-out session, then you're like, well, that was stunning. See ya.
Have a fag in the smoking area or something, and then it's done. You can't find them again.
Yeah,
it's so
no, I
busy.
do love that. I'm thinking of doing an episode of the podcast just about festival dates or like holiday romances and stuff. So yeah, I think something like that. But for me, I think my best short date was really recent. Actually, it was a couple of weeks ago. I asked out a comedian at one of his gigs afterwards, and we ended up going on a date just for lunch. It was in our lunch break, just for an hour, and it was amazing. We had a little kiss at the end. into the daytime, and you got to smash out these in lockdown. You got to smash out these lunchtime dates and make the most of the daylight, seeing as it gets dark at 4 o'clock now.
I know, like the actual day just ends.
Yeah.
And you might as well go to bed.
Exactly. Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on the show, Billy, and chatting to me about shortest dates ever. But yeah, I'll catch up with you soon.
You're very welcome. Well, I've not got much to do at the moment, so I was delighted when you asked me, to be honest.
That's so good. All right, well, yeah, I'll chat to you soon. Thanks again, and congrats on the boyfriend.
Thank you. I need a trophy.
Woo! Bye.
Bye.
I hope you enjoyed my chat with Billy. Please let me know on my Instagram. It's @madsworld.mp3 if you've got any stories of your own or any thoughts on the show to share with me. Love and elbow taps. Peace.